The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten, he wears a hooded sash, with a silver hat about his head and a bristling black mustache. He growls as he storms the country, a villain big and bold, and the trees all shake and quiver and quake as he robs them of their gold. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won.
You can't make this shit up.
Great down along the front surface gives them a lot of firepower where they can touch the quarterback also when they need to. And the silver and black faithful will say, boy, that brings back some memories of Jack Squirek back in 1983 with interception right before the half on a similar play and a touchdown.
You can't make this shit up.
Touchdown! Raiders!
Clark. Oh, he's got
DB shooters, he's got Cooper. There he goes.
And Bo Jackson to the 20 and out in front, and only one man to do that. He's running down. He had the angle, but there goes Bo, and nobody catches Bo. Touchdown!
Touchdown! Raiders!
Yo, train trump reverse.
It's going down, fade to black. When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing: just win, David.
Yeah, Raider Nation! It's Ask Captain Jack, and we're going to have a ball tonight because we have a guest in the house. And I know that the Raiders of new are pretty much on your mind. The Raiders of the 70s and 80s are on your mind. But you know what? There were players that played their ass off for Oakland for years, and I want to make sure that they get their due as well. Because tonight we have Raider tight end number 85, John Madsen, coming in for us. And John played for the Raiders, looks like from 2006 to 2008. We're going to get into that as well. Went to the Browns, and I definitely want to, if you want to talk about that, John, we'll do that. But John was also a champion for the Las Vegas Locomotives in 2009. We'll touch upon that as well, about his time in Vegas. And, I also want to ask you, but, enough of me flapping my gums. John Madsen, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
It's our pleasure to have you, sir. And, it's a pleasure being here with you. That we get Raiders on, and in fact, anybody if you enjoy this, hey, tag them and give them my name and tell them I would be more than happy to spend time with them, because I know the fans out there love to hear from players because they don't get enough of it. We go to events and we get a chance to meet some up close and personal. But, sometimes you don't get a chance to meet folks that we don't have a shot of meeting for a while. And, other than your rock-hard abs, which I got to ask you about as well, as I saw those pics on Instagram, Wow. I'm on a diet, man, but there's no way in hell I'm going to have abs that women are going to go for, which obviously will go into your after Raider career as well. But John, again, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Again, thanks for having me. I enjoyed my time so much in Oakland with, what I think are the world's best fans. And so it's my pleasure to be here.
Well, it's all ours. John, you went through a time that was very difficult for the team, 2006 to 2008, and I'm looking at my notes here. And I'm not here to berate the team, because obviously the record of the Raiders, as you know, as we all know, were not that great. But some things that I looked at. First off, you played for 3 coaches in 3 years, which means turmoil in any stretch of the word. Or you were on the team when Cable took over, correct?
Yeah. No, I was there. I got there with Art Shell, and then obviously was there with Lane Kiffin, and then Tom Cable. So I was there for all 3, and tumultuous would be the right word.
Okay. Well, good. And I'm not going to ask you to belittle anybody, but feel free to give any of your thoughts that you wish to share, because we all love to hear insight that we don't get a chance to hear on a regular basis. So, it'll just be fun hearing from you. Like you said, I was looking at the notes. The 2006 Raiders were 2-14, but I'm gonna go like the overall record. Then I'm gonna give a stat as well. However,
okay,
they were 2-14 overall for the season, and the 2 games that they won, which let's see here, was against the Steelers and the Cardinals. They were winning at halftime, because your halftime statistics for games that you were winning at halftime and then losing was 2 wins and 6 losses. So that means of those 6 games, you guys lost it in the second half. Again, not to belittle, just throwing out stats for the people to go for. Then Lane Kiffin comes in, and oh, by the way, that was under the bed and breakfast offense of the gentleman from the upper. Oh God, I can't remember his name. Your offense coordinator. We called it the bed and breakfast offense. What was his name again?
Yeah, you know what? It's been so long. I know I can't think of the guy's name either. If you would have asked me, I would have had it for you.
Yeah, no worries, man. Hey,
He was one and done. I saw so many people go in and out of the door. It's really hard to remember who was there and who wasn't there.
It was Tom. It was Tom something. He owned a bed and breakfast before the Raiders brought him in to be their offensive coordinator. Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, you had Andrew Walters, your quarterback back then as well?
Yeah. So again, it was a revolving door. So we had Andrew Walters. I had Marcus Tuiasosopo. Had the quarterback. I might have got hit in the head too many times. We had the quarterback, the blonde kid who started. He's been around forever, probably played for about 17 teams.
Rick Meyer, right? Is that him?
No. He started for the Jets last year.
Oh, yeah, McCown. There you go.
Yeah, Josh McCown. So we started with McCown, Andrew Walters, Marcus Tuiasosopo. Then I was there in my second year. Jamarcus Russell came in. Oh, and you know what? Josh McCown was actually in the second year too. Brooks.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Who played.
Yeah. Aaron Brooks was in there.
2-14 year with Aaron Brooks.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to get to that. It's like the fact is that, you at least the 2 games that you were winning at half of the 8, you won at least 2 of those. 2007 fared a little better, and that's under Lane Kiffin. And I'm going to keep my comments about Coach Kiffin to myself. But you were 3-3 in games that you were winning at the half. So at least it got better in the fact that you weren't giving away as many games in the second half under Kiffin. But I can tell you, or at least what I thought, and this is my view. Oh gosh, I forgot to turn the fan off. I got to do that before I stress out here. 1 second there, partner. Whoop. There was not a power outage. I'm sorry, John. I stepped away from the computer, and I have an overhead fan. If I keep it on, I just have a bad what do you call it, where my eyes will just water all night. So I got to stop that. So just I stepped away and I'm back. But again, 3-3 in games that you're leading at the half. And I was looking over these and I said, I remember these games. Like you were tied with the Bears and lost. You were tied with the Vikes and lost. And, obviously games that, were winnable games. And, it was just disheartening as a fan. So again, of the 4 wins that you got that year, so it seems that as long as you had a lead, you at least had a shot at winning. But then you were there, thank goodness, in 2008, the 5-11 team, but you guys were not in last place, which is good. You were at least in third place, where the year before you were tied for third place. So you had it all to yourself. 5-11 under Kiffin/Cable, and I definitely want to talk to you about the game where Kiffin trots out Janikowski for like the 70-yard field goal. I gotta have your opinion of what was going through your mind. But anyway, you were 4-3 in those games where you were leading at the half. So, you were there for the were you there for the Tampa Bay game? Because I was there watching that one.
You know what? My third year in 2008 was my third year. I got cut.
Yeah.
I missed a couple weeks, and then I got re-signed, and then I got cut at the end of the season. So I never played in Tampa Bay.
That's a shame. I was actually at that game cheering my ass off because that's where the Captain is located. But I tell you, I kept up with you in the fact that when you came into training camp and you were a big part of the fans in black. We would talk about people that were showing their due. You said, hey, this undrafted free agent from Utah, and that's another question. You said you went to another school before Utah?
Yeah, you know what? I had a crazy career, man. I never played high school football. So I was a basketball player. Didn't graduate with any scholarship opportunities, and so I went to a junior college and asked if I could try out for the football team. I hadn't played since the 9th grade, but I went down there with the mentality that I was going to play a sport. It didn't matter if it was going to be football, basketball, or baseball. I knew that my athletic career was not over. From the time I was 9 years old, I wanted to be a professional athlete. I had my heart set on it, and I went and played. I made the team at that junior college and transferred to the University of Utah and played out my remaining 3 years. 2 of those years under Urban Meyer, we won a Fiesta Bowl, and my quarterback was Alex Smith. So we had a really great college team, college years there at the University of Utah. So yeah, I started in junior college, played for the University of Utah, and going into my senior year, Mel Kiper Jr., a lot of the draft analysis, they had me as a top 5 receiver going in the first or second round. And I put together a phenomenal senior year. But with 3 games to go, I broke my leg and tore all the ligaments in my ankle. And I couldn't run I really couldn't. That was in November. The first time I could run was the very first mini camp for the Oakland Raiders. So I went from being a high draft pick to not getting drafted at all because of the injury. And then when I got to Oakland, I was still a little slow. I wasn't myself yet. And when I went to training camp, Al Davis, he took me aside and said, look, John, if you want to make this team, you're going to have to do it at tight end. I know you played wide receiver, but you're not going to make the team at wide receiver. So I had to switch positions.
Now, and how did you, that's amazing that the patriarch would come to you and gave you the knowledge saying that, because obviously he saw something in you that he didn't want to cut. He could see your athleticism. He could see the fact that you were a person that he wanted on the roster. The fact that he went to you personally and said that, you know, what did that mean to you personally?
Yeah, back in 2006, Al Davis was still very much involved. I mean, he wasn't in great shape, obviously. I remember him in his walker or in the golf cart, but that guy was out there for at least 2 practices a week. He watched every single piece of practice. He knew exactly what he was looking at. And so he was involved. And so it meant a lot to me because obviously I was a football fan growing up. I had a lot of respect for Al Davis, and I had my heart set on making opening day roster no matter what my role was going to be. So special teams, moving positions, I was willing and able to do anything and everything. And I had a really, really phenomenal training camp. All odds were against me. So when I got to Napa for training camp, that's when I found out that they were moving me to tight end. I went in the tight end room, and there was no stars at that point in the tight end room. Courtney Anderson was our starting tight end. And we had a bunch of other guys who were really, really phenomenal players just because fans might not know who they are. Once you get to the NFL level, the dudes can play. Every person in that room can play. I got to the room and I was the 9th tight end on the depth chart. So I know the numbers. I knew the opening day roster, you're going to keep 2 or 3 tight ends. And all of these tight ends had way more NFL experience. They were 5, 6, 7-year players. And I didn't even know how to play the position. So when I got there, obviously there was a little bit of discouragement because I didn't know how in the hell that I was going to chop six heads and be on that opening day roster in a short 4-week period. But NFL training camp is a crazy thing, and guys get hurt. And I had a couple phenomenal practices as far as catching the ball. I showed my speed. Al Davis loved speed. That was one of his things. He wanted me to stretch the defense. And so week after week, I made some plays in the preseason, and opening day roster came, and I found myself as the 3rd string tight end. Worked my way up all the way up to the 2nd string tight end. Started a couple games that rookie year and played a lot of special teams.
Well, you know, Al always said speed kills, and when you can have a tight end that can stretch the field, a la, you know, Raymond Chester, you know, our boy Dave Casper, and of course Todd Christensen. The tight end position has always been a testament feature for Al Davis on the team. So that's just a testament to you and what you showed. And it's not. We can all agree that you were athletic. We all know that you could do the job, that you had the skills, you had the skill set, you had the speed. But the fact is you had the heart, because again, you beat out 6 other guys. Now, granted, maybe some of them got injured, but that's notwithstanding. You beat out X amount of other people to stay on that team, and that's a testament to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, man. It was a battle, and that's what I think that some fans don't really realize. It puts all of the players in a really interesting situation. You go into training camp with 85 people or 80 people, and by the end of it, you have 52 on the roster. So when you're in the locker room, you're battling against your own guys, and so you can be friendly with them, you know, but you don't really. You're not going to go out of your way to help a rookie coming in, knowing that if that rookie does better than you, then you're on your way out. And it's just a cutthroat thing in the NFL, constantly trying to make sure you don't get swallowed up so that you can make the team. And then there's a couple, you know, on every team, there's those 5 or 6 superstars that their job security is pretty solid, you know. And then the rest of the guys, it's a battle. You never know who's going to get cut and who's not going to get cut. So I coach a lot of guys that are in college now that, you know, I do the NFL combine training stuff. So I tell them, man, don't ever look at that depth chart. It doesn't matter. You just got to go do you. You got to do the best you can, and you never know what's going to happen, but you got to be ready for your opportunity. I mean, Rob Ryan was the defensive coordinator when I was there, and, you know, I love that guy, but I was like for a lot of training camp, or probably the first week of training camp, I was just taking a knee. I would do the individual drills, and then I would get a few reps. And so I thought my days were easier. And on one crazy day, there was a couple tight ends that were, you know, they had a pulled hamstring or their knee was hurting. Another guy was out on a kind of family emergency. And I remember the two tight ends that they were running were just gassed. They had no more energy. They couldn't go anymore. And the tight ends coach looked at me and he's like, Madsen, you got to get in here. And so actually this wasn't even training camp. This was one of the mini camps leading up to training camp. So I was still a wide receiver at this point in the mini camp. So the tight ends coach looked at me. I was wearing number 10 because they gave me whatever number they had left. And he's like, number 10, didn't even know my name. He's like, can you come run a corner? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I put my hand in the dirt for the first time. I was used to being a wide receiver in college. Got down in probably the ugliest three-point stance that anyone's ever seen. And their first round draft pick that year was Michael Huff, who was a safety out of Texas. So they put a, first round guy. He was drafted, I think, 7th overall. So he came right up to the line, press covered me.
Don't remind us.
I threw him to the ground, and then I ran a corner and ran for 70 yards for a touchdown. And I had a grin from ear to ear because this was my first time I ever got an opportunity wearing the silver and black, wearing an NFL uniform. So I'm proud as hell of myself. And as I'm running back to the huddle, Rob Ryan catches me and just mother-effed me, times 20 because he thought that I hurt his first round draft pick. And so he kicks me out of practice. He's like, what the hell is the practice? And so I'm confused. I'm like, dude, that would have been an amazing play. Like, I would have got praise for that in college. I just got kicked off of the whole team. And so I take my helmet off and I'm walking off the practice field. And the tight ends coach runs after me. He's like, John, I don't care what you say. Get back in there. We need you. And so I got like 5 plays and caught 4 balls in this really rapid pace thing that I didn't even know what was going on. And from that day forward, they kind of started shifting me to the tight end space. And then when training camp came, it was a full-blown decision that they had seen enough potential at the tight end spot from that one practice that they were going to give me a shot. So, well, I tell you guys, if I had one opportunity on one day from the start of the line and I got my chance, and I made a name for myself from the very first play. And that gave me the opportunity to go into training camp and try to make the roster.
Well, hey, John, by the way, your phone is a little bit garbled at times. I just want to let you know for audio purposes. We hear most of it, but, I just want to make sure that you know. Cell phone, I take it.
Sorry about that.
No worries. I didn't want to stop you, man, because you were on a roll. The only thing I wanted to interject is please don't remind us that we picked Huff at number 7 when there were Hall of Famers sitting behind him.
The draft's a crazy thing, man. You never know.
Yeah, and we always go through the list of like who the Raiders picked with their first round draft pick and who was still available next. I mean, it was just for your purposes. It's like when we had Washington. We picked, I can't remember the guy's name. It was the small corner that could, anybody who ran to 40 the fastest obviously got drafted. But the one time we took a corner, and then I think either Larry Fitzgerald or Megatron was after him. We could have picked, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the list goes on. I don't even want to get my blood pressure up. So the fact that you embarrassed Huff, I mean, obviously good on you, but it also is a testament to the fact that all of these people that we thought were going to be the one, although Michael did catch the interception that sealed the game against the Texans during the week after the patriarch died was good, but definitely didn't live up to his expectations. So we got through and one of our viewers said that it was Greg Knapp that was your OC back then. I know that Tom Walsh was there for your second year.
Yeah, so Knapp was my second year. He wasn't the bed and breakfast guy. Knapp he's been in the league. He's been in the league. He's a pretty good coach, to his credit. The bed and breakfast guy was
Tom Walsh,
Tom
yeah.
Walsh, I think was his name.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're right. So we get to obviously a debacle in the Shell 2 regime. How was the locker room during that time?
Man, it was crazy, dude. Like I came from Urban Meyer, who you know, and just as a point of reference, the college game is so much different in that the coaches can be just generals, totalitarians. Like Urban Meyer runs a tight team. Like if you don't, the players have no power. If you know you're out of line, you're off the team. And I was so used to winning in this culture that was built. Like we barely lost. At one point, we had the longest winning streak in all of Division I football, and so I wasn't used to losing. And when I got to Oakland, and Art Shell was there, Art Shell obviously is a Hall of Famer. He didn't speak a whole lot, but when he spoke, everybody listened. He had the authority because he had the history, and he's an imposing guy. So I think Art Shell had respect, but he hadn't been in the league for, I don't know, the last 10 years. And I think that some of the guys, some of the stars on the team, Warren Sapp, Randy Moss, they weren't used to his style of coaching. I remember the first training camp, everyone just complaining that we were in pads too much. We were hitting too much. We weren't getting enough rest. They weren't used to Art Shell's way, and I think Art Shell was doing it the way he would have done it 10 years ago, which
School.
I mean, guys got pushed harder. And so for me, I was just trying to survive. And so I wasn't paying attention to any of that. Every single practice I thought was my last practice. So I was going out there to battle. But I remember people just being beat up and tired, you know, not wanting to be in full pads all the time. So there was a little disconnect there in the locker room, But when you start losing games and it's just a snowball effect, I can't really describe it as anything other than there was a leadership problem, although there was individual people on the team, Namdi Asamoah, Randy Moss, Warren Sapp. There were guys who were great football players, but there wasn't the culture that it takes to win in football in that locker room. And whether that comes from the head coach or a couple key players, it just wasn't there.
Well, I mean, and I'm glad you touched on that, because you're talking about two Hall of Famers in Moss and Sapp that are not representing in the locker room. The team that I can hear, and I know of such things, you know, when the team has dissension and when there's no leadership, and actually remind me to parlay that and compare and contrast that to last year's Raiders team. But when you don't have the leadership in the team, in the locker room, you know, like you said, one loss, two turns to four. And when nobody steps up, it's just it's a throwaway season. And that's why Shell was obviously let go again for the second time. So Al goes and tries to get Steve Sarkisian, and Sark doesn't want anything to do with it, but he tells, you know, Mr. Davis, I got an OC with me, my co-OC, and I think he'd do a fine job.
Right.
Sorry.
No, hey, Lane Kiffin ended my career, man, so there's not a lot of love lost.
Oh, well, thank you. Then I'll be sure to berate Lane all day and every day. I live in Tampa, and like I said, if it wasn't for his dad, the Tampa Bay Bucks wouldn't have won a Super Bowl. You know, obviously having his dad and get with John Gruden knowing all the plays as well. That's the only reason why they won, was because of Lane's dad, who I respect. But Lane, I wouldn't pee on if he was on fire to put him out.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. So my rookie year ended. I was, you know, worked my way up to second string, was, you know, had a vision of a bright future. I was at a draft party. My buddy Eric Weddle played at the University of Utah. I was at his house in San Diego for the draft going into my second year. And he got drafted to his hometown, San Diego Chargers, with like the first pick in the second round. So all of his friends and family were going crazy. You know, they were pumped that an NFL player was in their house. Like I had played, I just got done playing. And then instead of celebrating with everybody, the Raiders had the very next pick. And so I was like, I'm going to sit down and watch this pick real fast. And they took my good buddy, Zach Miller, who was a great tight end for Oakland for a long time. But in one instance, I go from working my way up to potentially vying for a starting spot to having another tight end get drafted really, really high. And kind of another interesting feeling as a professional that is probably interesting for the fans' perspective. You know, you don't really love the draft when you're already on the team, because if they draft a guy at that same position high, you know that person's going to get he's going to get a lot of opportunity to shine because they're going to give him a lot of money up front. So Zach was a phenomenal tight end. He was an all-around guy. He could block, he could catch, he was tough. I mean, in my 3 years, part of the reason I never really got the break that I wanted is Zach never got hurt. He played hurt. He would beat up, and that dude never missed a game. And I have so much respect for him. But so they drafted Zach, and then so right before that, they did hire Lane Kiffin. So Lane Kiffin comes in with his regime, and then they signed three other veteran tight ends. So before Lane had ever seen me, I went from second string all the way back to about seventh string going into my second training camp, which was Lane Kiffin's first year. And again, it felt like an undrafted rookie free agent. I had to fight my butt off every single day just to make that squad. And then, thinking back about Lane, I don't know how old he was when he was the head coach. I'm 35 years old now. And I think that Lane was like 32 or 33.
You're correct.
He was
in his early 30s. I think he was 32 because Gruden, I believe, was 33 when he started, and Lane was at least a year younger than him. I think 32 is the right number.
Yeah, which is crazy. I mean, I can't imagine standing up in front of the team now as a 35-year-old and commanding that respect. And Lane came in, hot shot. He was full of confidence. He was young, and in fact, I think Warren Sapp and a couple of guys were actually older than Lane Kiffin. And going from the college deal to the NFL, the whole power dynamic is different. Now, a lot of the time, the coaches don't have ultimate power, which I was alluding to earlier with Urban Meyer. A lot of the players are getting paid way more than the coaches, and so the players have a lot of power too. And the coaches might not have that much power. And so the dynamic in an NFL locker room is way different than the college game. So to Lane's credit, he was young. He was super young. He tried, he came in with a lot of confidence. He tried his best. I think that he does have a bright offensive mind, but there was just no real respect in the beginning. And when you start losing games, you really have a hard time recovering. And so and obviously, with the rest of his career, he's made terrible choices and has blown up some programs. And so, it wasn't a great start to his coaching career as a head coach, but, he was young too.
Yeah, I tell you, being a Gator, and that's why when you talked about your coach, Urban, Urban was a fantastic coach for you. He was a fantastic coach for the Gators and running a tight ship, but he doesn't have the per sources that I know, or not know personally, but have heard from, he doesn't have a lot of good cred as far as keeping with his credibility of, when he went to Utah from Bowling Green, he said, hey, Utah is my dream job, man. I'm going to be here forever because Utah is all I want to be. And then, of course, he goes to Florida. And then, oh, boy, Florida's my dream job. It's the only place I've ever really wanted to be. This is what I need to do. And, of course, now he's at Ohio State because, of course, Ohio State is his dream job. And it's everybody, it's everywhere, and only thing that he ever wanted to be. So, again, great coach. Don't take anything away from him there. But the name kind of sours for folks that went to school, not playing for him, because, again, you have a different dynamic than him, and I'm not berating him in that respect as your coach. But as an alumnus of certain programs, he leaves a bad taste in your mouth. So, again, not trying to berate your coach because he's a fantastic coach, but he kind of grates on you after a while.
Yeah, man. He knew what he wanted. He wanted to be one of the best in history. He wanted to win championships, and he didn't mind using places as a stepping stone to get to his ultimate destination. A lot of guys do that, but a lot of guys can't win like that. So, a unique situation. I really have a lot of respect for him, just he's the best leader I've ever been a part of on a team. That guy knows how to corral his players for the common good and go out there and have his players run through brick walls for him. He's a motivator. He's a psychologist. He's a coach, and he's hard to play for, but his teams win. And he's won everywhere. Where if I'm comparing that to some of the coaches that I played for in the NFL, it's just a different dynamic, and that winning culture was never instilled in that I had been a part of, unfortunately.
Well, okay. Again, you just made him move up about 10 points in my scale, which is a lot, just by those comments, sir. And I'm not just saying that to blow smoke. We all know how good of a tactician he is, but the fact that you have a high opinion of him, I will take that into consideration. Obviously, the next time we have conversations about him in the Gator pool that we have at work. So
no, absolutely.
Well, and again, we're gonna go to your third year. Kiffin, obviously. Oh, by the way, I've been told that I was incorrect. Gruden was 32, but Kiffin was about that young too. He was ballpark within there.
Young, man. He was young, and I know Warren Sapp was older than him. So
yes,
that guy standing at the front of the team, and you got guys that are older than him, and they're going, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Now, I think Kiffin lasted 4 games. Your last year in 2008, and he kind of knew. I mean, he was treading water when you guys were 4-12. And he goes out, and I'm not sure what the record was. I unfortunately, I didn't dig that far. I was doing all the stats, but I didn't dig what the record was. But I do know that the rumor control was there, that he was about ready to get canned. And in that game, which was a home game, and I can't remember, I think it was against the Jets. I might be mistaken, but I think it was against the Jets. He trots out Sebastian Janikowski in Oakland, where he doesn't have the elements in his favor. It's not in Denver where it's thin air. It's in a sod field that is below sea level, and he trots Jano out there for at least I know it's at least a 70-yard field goal. So what's going through? Oh, okay. Gruden was 35. And I tell you what. The source on this I trust with everything, because this young lady knows her Raiders so well that if just saying he was 35. Okay. Anyway, what was going through the team's mind during that time when there's chaos that amongst you guys know that your coach is under fire, and I'm sure that the locker room was not a very good place to be. But what was going through your guys' mind where he trots out Jano for a 70-yard field goal before the half just cuz?
Do you know what game that was in the season? Was it game 4 or 5?
It was game 4, because I'm pretty sure that he was canned that next week, and I believe, and I'd have to wait. I got the sky. I can get that real quick. It was okay. Broncos, Chiefs, Bills. Okay, it's versus the Chargers. Here we go. Prior to halftime, Janikowski attempted to kick a 76-yard field goal. 76-yard field goal against the Chargers week 4, because I know the big reason why that he was canned was that they had a week to get cable in order, because it was a bye week, because at New Orleans that week, I was there for Cable's first game.
Yeah, well, this is the craziest part about it. I can't answer a question because I got cut right before the Bills game. I was boarding the bus to go play the Buffalo Bills, and I got that tap on the shoulder by one of the assistants saying that the head coach wanted to see me, and I went up to Kiffin's office, and thanked me for my duties, and I was sent packing, man. So I got cut by Kiffin initially, and then when he got fired, Tom Cable brought me back, or I don't know who was pulling the strings. It could have been Al Davis, whoever was had the final say in the roster back then. I was back for the New Orleans game, back on the Raiders roster, and so I had a little lapse there when I got cut, and then re-signed during that third year.
I apologize, partner. I knew who you were cut for because it was Ben Troop out of Florida. So again, being a Gator, it was nice to see a Gator. But honestly, John, I actually followed you from your rookie year based all upon your effort in that first training camp where everybody was talking about you and your catches. So when you were in the game, I said, dude, this guy can play. And then when they cut you over Troop, I was like, damn, I mean, why can't you cut somebody else and keep Madsen and bring Troop in? But then again, Troop he didn't really live up to any of his billing. He was a very high draft pick out of Florida that didn't pan out.
Yeah. So when he went on the waiver wire, they cut me to get him, and then they realized that he wasn't doing anything, and so they brought me back. But to be completely honest, I talk about this because my line of work now is working with athletes, working with NFL players. I had a lot of, I was pissed for a long time at Kiffin, and obviously my career got kind of derailed there for a second, but I really had a little lapse of confidence in those first two games in the positions that I was trying to play. They kind of forgot that I was a pass catching tight end. I was a slot guy. I wasn't a traditional tight end. I weighed 240 pounds. I wasn't that 255 pound guy. So like to me, I was a pass catching guy, and I just wasn't being put in those situations. And they were kind of asking me to be that traditional tight end where I was struggling a little bit. I was a little bit small, and going from wide receiver to tight end is a hard transition to make. I had to learn against the best as far as blocking. And I had a couple bad games on special teams on kickoff return where I missed a couple blocks. And I think the decision came down to, are we going to cut Madsen because he's acting like a liability on special teams, and we have this other tight end who's a better special teams player than Madsen, but Madsen probably has more potential as a pass catcher and a dynamic player. And I just kind of fell out of favor with the coaching staff there. And so, a lot of that was on me. You can't have a lapse in confidence for 2 weeks in the NFL or you're going to be gone. And that's kind of what happened to me for that season.
Well, I'm glad that somebody came to their senses, because I was happier than they got the old commercial about I'm happier than you see a bunch of clams laughing. It might be a local commercial. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, happy as a clam, man. That's a good thing.
Yeah, and so I was happy that they brought you back again, because I don't know, I could feel that even though that the team was 5-11, and I'm going to look back here real quick. Your record when you were cut was, okay, the Broncos laid it on us and we beat the Chiefs. So you were 1-1. The Raiders ultimately were 1-3 when they made the switch. But when Cable came in, I just, the energy that the team showed overall, maybe it was just me, maybe it was wishful thinking, but I could see that the tables had turned, and that the coaching staff was starting to get that team together for better things, because obviously Cable won 4 of the last 12 games, which is a lot better than, 4-12 is better than 1-3 under that person who shall remain nameless, who we both kind of despise.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of the games were, I don't have the schedule and I can't really remember, but I feel like the games were closer. In that season, I felt like people were playing for Cable. I felt like he had a lot more respect. I don't feel that way. I know that for a fact. guys had a lot more respect for him, and we were willing to play for him. And the energy, you could feel it, but there was a definite difference in energy from when Kiffin was kicked out and Cable was in as the head guy.
Now, having said that, because you brought up some points about the two things that I want to draw back on is that, as you said, that the Shell 2 regime. Art was out of coaching for about a decade, which kind of leads me to the question that everybody has been gnawing on since John was brought back for the Gruden 2 regime. John's been out of coaching as a head coach, theoretically, mind you, for 10 years. But I think that it's not that he hasn't really left the game. In fact, he's gotten more insight being where he was as the Monday Night Football commentator, that he can get insight on all of these different teams that he's been around. He can draw upon those things as a learning point and as an intelligence plan. So what do you think about that in respect to how Gruden will take this team this year? I mean, somebody was on the radio or with me, I should say, the other night. And if you're watching, Reverend, thanks for watching again. But the Reverend has us at 16-0, and I laughed. I mean, come on, man. But what do you really think? If you have an ideal, if you've been following the Raiders, what do you think we could do under this Gruden regime?
Yeah, and so my whole philosophy from college all the way to the NFL, I believe that coaches make more of a difference than the average fan wants to believe. I think that a coach should come in and can demand that respect and can build a culture around winning and not making excuses. There's a charisma. I guess if you look at the New England Patriots with Belichick, he just has a system in which the players know what to expect, and he's got that culture there. And so I say that with the intention of believing that I think John Gruden is one of those top echelon coaches. I never played for him, but my feeling with him being away from the game, like you said, he wasn't really away. He was out of the day-to-day stuff. I think you're going to see a refreshed, excited, coach that has all the charisma in the world, has an amazing mind, and a guy that can go in there and rally the team and lead them. And so I believe that you're going to see. I believe that there should be high expectations for this team with Carr running the offense. You've got a couple really, really good, talented wide receivers. The pieces are there. I think John Gruden's going to be awesome. I can't wait to watch.
And a question from my my cohort in crime, lover to death, Angria, and this is a quote. After his poor performance in Seattle, do you think Cable will get his shite together now that he's not controlling personnel?
Yeah, so Cable's the offensive line coach right now, correct?
Yes, sir, he is.
Yeah, is this his first year back?
I'm sorry, sir?
So Cable was up in Seattle, right?
Yes, sir. We got him off of Seattle staff because he did well for a bit up there, but then the offensive line, no fault of his own, didn't have the personnel that he really wanted. So the O-line let Russell Wilson down the last couple of years, so he got canned because of that. But hey, we picked him right up, of course, because I think Tom is like Gruden in the fact that he loves the organization.
Yeah, no, Tom Cable to me is an Oakland Raider guy. He's tough. He's a tough coach. I have a lot of respect for Cable. I truly believe that he is the right man for the offensive line job in Oakland. I believe that he is a great man. He loves the organization, and he's a really, really good coach too. So I think that's going to work out well. Well,
obviously, so you still now are you back out? Where are you at there, John?
Yeah, I'm in Salt Lake City. So my home is Salt Lake City, and that's where I've been for the past 8 years.
Okay, I was going to, because that also leads me. I love these great segues, sir. So tell us about what John Madsen has been doing post career. We know that you're working with guys in the combine, which is fantastic. And like I said, those rock hard abs, which I can only have in my dreams. Okay, tell us what John Madsen's doing.
Yeah, so at the end of my third year, I got released again with 2 games to go, and got picked up by the Cleveland Browns. Romeo Crennel was the head coach, and Kellen Winslow was a tight end. They brought me in because he thought that could run, and so I was really excited to get that opportunity. But after the 2 games, he got fired, and Eric Mangini regime came in. So in my 3-year career, I had 5 different head coaches, and just personnel in and out. It was crazy, you know. So I was just fighting this battle for 5 years, 5 different training camps, and ultimately got cut in Cleveland during the last cuts. Just didn't fit that offense at all, and I ended up playing for the Las Vegas Locomotives, which was a 4-team league that was it wasn't really trying to compete with the NFL, but there was guys like Dante Culpepper, Josh McCown was a quarterback, there was some Dennis Green was a head coach, and so there was a lot of talent in this little 4-team league. And our home city was Las Vegas, ironically enough, where unfortunately I think that, you know, the Raiders are going to head. But so I finished off my career there, had a little tryout with the Detroit Lions, and I just started traveling from city to city and going to these tryouts. Ultimately got a little bit worn out and decided that I was going to retire. And for the last 8 years, I've ran a training facility, mainly because initially I wanted to help the high school athlete train the right way, faster, stronger, more athletic. And more than that, I wanted to influence the mindset, teach them how to cultivate that ultimate confidence so that hopefully they might be able to live out, you know, a piece of their dream like I got to live my ultimate dream. So I've ran a gym out in Salt Lake City for the past 8 years. It's been awesome because I get to still, you know, be around sports, something that has been a huge part of my life. I get to motivate and coach young athletes, which is awesome. And we get a lot of NFL combine type guys, and we have a couple of, you know, bigger universities around here, Utah and BYU, where I get to train a lot of their guys, and I'm close to the game. So that's what I've been doing for the past 8 years, and it was a great transition from my playing career to what I love to do every day.
Well, the good thing is that, like I said, I got a chance to catch those vacation pictures, and thanks for, I mean, I don't want to say putting up with me, but thanks for contacting me after those pics, because I did not want to bug you on your vacay. But as I stated in those messages to you, anytime you're here in Florida that's within spitting distance, I'll be more than happy to come by and meet you as well. And I'd say buy you a dinner, and I probably will, but I'd have to be off my diet then, because if I'm gonna buy you dinner, I want to at least indulge in some good food too.
Hey, dude, I love good food, so that's okay, man. I'll go off my diet. We'll eat whatever we want.
Yeah, but the problem is that you're not suffering. Well, I shouldn't say suffering, but you're not on the after effects of a double bypass like this old boy, and you can afford to go off your diet for a day or two. Whereas whenever I do it, you know, it's because I want to have some good pizza and Mexican food, but you got to live somehow. But I'm sure you can put up with those. You can knock those pounds right back off, where it'll take me a couple, like 3 days to get 1 pound off.
You can have your salad, and I'll eat for 2.
Okay, there you go. John, I'm not eating salad. I'll let you know that straight up. Well, I'm gonna end with this, John. And like I said, I appreciate you coming on. You made a comment about, and again, most of the Raider Nation as a whole, as a fan base, there's nothing like playing in Oakland, and that goes without saying. You know, being in Oakland and seeing any of those people out there, how the fan base loves this team, and it's going to be heart-wrenching to see them go. But what is it like to be able to play in Vegas? Now, granted, I know it's going to be a bit different because playing for the Locomotives back when and playing for Vegas now with, all of that fresh optimism that the Vegas skyline has with the Golden Knights and the WNBA team. So, but what do you think are going to be some of the positives and obviously some of the negatives of the Raiders playing in Vegas?
Yeah, I mean, you can't even compare like the Locomotives. We were playing in UNLV Stadium in front of 5,000, 10,000 people. The thing is America loves the NFL, even if, a secondary league just can't compete because the NFL is the show. The NFL is where you're going to see the stars. And so, it's not at all going to be congruent to what I experienced in Vegas, but I know that, spending a lot of time in Vegas, there's a lot more to that city than just the Strip. And you're also going to get, all the tourists and everything. So I think that it's probably going to be pretty damn hard to get tickets because that stadium is going to be sold out every single game. The community around the Strip, the Henderson, some of the suburbs of Vegas, I think they're going to be super excited. I hope that the casino is going to buy up all the tickets and regular fans can purchase tickets and go see their favorite team. But you're definitely going to see a sold out show, and it's going to be a show every single home game. But like you, I was a Raider in Oakland. I loved going to the Coliseum. Some of my favorite experiences was driving into the Coliseum and signing autographs for the fans. I was just happy to be there, and the fans are amazing, man. Like we would lose. Like this first season, we lost 14 games, we won 2, and we'd fly home from the East Coast, and we'd get to Alameda at 2 or 3 in the morning, and we'd have a line of fans out there cheering us on. They would be out there all night waiting for us to drive in and give us support. And when I think back on those times, like I just am really appreciative of being able to play. There's not another team that I would have wanted to play for because I got to experience some phenomenal fans, and I know that the fans are going to support the Las Vegas Raiders and everything's going to be okay. But I do wish they stay in Oakland. But like I said, you're still going to see an amazing show, and I think that the selling out crowd is not going to be a problem. There's going to be people in the stands, and the Raider fans are great everywhere, though. So that's what I would say.
Well, you're right about that. There will be sellouts. The unfortunate thing is that while the Raiders maintain an upswing, they will have a lot of Raider fans in the stands. The unfortunate thing is, which I think will happen, and again, I'm an analyst for a living, and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express, but it's easy to see that if the Raiders are into a doldrum type of a atmosphere, the fans that are going to be in there are going to be the fans that are the cops from the hotels and the casinos, as well as the opposing teams. So it'll be sold out, that's for sure. But I hope it doesn't get to be a point where there's more fans for the opposition. I go to the Miami game almost every year when it's down here, and trust me, it's at best, it's like 40% Miami, 50% Raider fans, and still 10%, the seats that are not unsold. And it's embarrassing as a Dolphin because that's the way it is. There's more Raider fans in that stadium cheering on our team. And by the way, come on out to Miami, man. When you want to go out to Florida again, we'll meet up then too. But I just hope that the Raiders continue that upswing and that they continue that through, because gosh darn it, there's nothing like an Oakland, and I say Oakland Raider hometown fan base, and it's still going to be hard to replicate. So hopefully it'll at least be good for the Raiders for a while.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm a fan. I want to see the Raiders do good. Las Vegas is close to it's really just a 45-minute flight for me, so I'm definitely gonna check out some games there when it's there. But I hope to get out to Oaks here and catch a couple games before it's done out of the Coliseum.
Most definitely. And hey, if you're looking for tickets, I got at least 2 games for sale. So get with me on that. And John, I want to say amongst for all of the audience here, we most certainly appreciate you giving up your time, your off time, to spend time with us, with Raider Nation, with fans that remember you. And for those that don't remember you, gosh darn it, go back and look at the tape, because this guy can catch the ball, run fast, and do everything that was needed of him. You know, hey, maybe you weren't playing good on special teams, and that's why they cut you, but that was BS to begin with, sir.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And look forward to playing, guys.
John, again, I'm going to let you go, sir. And again, from the bottom of my heart, and I'll follow up with messages tomorrow. Thank you for spending time with us on Raider Reaction, sir, and have a fantastic rest of your evening as well.
You're welcome, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Good night, John. Thanks again. And folks, that was John Madsen, the former Oakland Raiders tight end. And make sure you go back and look. Like I said, I tell you, I loved watching John Madsen, because he had more heart than a lot of the people that are in there today. You know, a lot of heart. So I'm going to say, sorry, Matt, we're gone. Okay, we're going to talk about that. Matt, I want you to call in, because what we're going to do right now, we're going to transition. We're going to fade out from Raider Reaction. Thank you for being here. Please stay tuned. Go over to the Captain Jack Rackham page, because I'm going to be popping in just a minute. I'm going to be going live on the Captain Jack Rackham page in just a minute. Don't worry, you'll get your hour. I'm not going to short shrift anybody. You got a little over on here. Go to the Captain Jack Rackham page. Thank you for Raider Reaction being here as well. Myself, the commissioner, Big L, Angria, Sunshine, Mandy, Ariel, Raider Ortiz, even that troll Popeye, and anybody. Oh, and Miss Lori Palomo, our newest member of the staff. We all love seeing you here on Raider Reaction. If I forgot somebody, I apologize. Raider Reaction is here for you. Make sure you stay with us. Come by and see me. I love to see you as well. We will see you in about a minute or two over at Captain Jack Rackham. So again, don't go anywhere. Just kind of flip your dial computer-wise. This is the captain. I'll be over there in just a minute. Yarg, for about 30 seconds or so, maybe a minute. We'll see ya.